Jensen aimed stepped into Terminal Island. Cameras flashed at every angle, capturing his tattoos, his scars, and every movement. The courtyard was alive with whispers. A bald inmate spat on his breakfast plate. Another shoved him roughly. Every gesture reminded him that only the cunning survived. Memories of his wife pierced his mind. The GPS bracelet, the shadow that took her life. Rage burned in his chest. He vowed justice and revenge. The warden, Claire Hennessy, appeared. Calm, commanding, unyielding. She strapped the legendary Frankenstein mask onto his face. Each buckle was a countdown to fate. Under the mask, Jensen became more than a man. He became a symbol, feared and unstoppable. Engines roared. Armored cars burst onto the track. Sparks flew and flames licked the asphalt. Machine Gun Joe fired relentlessly. Bullets shredded metal chaos. 1-for-K hurled spinning blades at rivals. Carnage erupted in fire and steel. Beside him, Kay scanned the battlefield. Stay low. Stay sharp, she whispered. Pachenko, the sadistic brute, fixated on Jensen, ramming, striking, forcing him toward death traps. Jensen's mind raced with every dodge and counterattack. Survival itself was on the line. Stage 1 ended, barely, but alive. Between races, a new prisoner caught his eye. The same GPS bracelet as the man who had killed his wife. The warden's cruel game became clear. The death race was manipulation, a deadly trap. Stage 2 began. The prison transformed into a war zone. Oil slicks shimmered under harsh lights. Hidden mines lurked beneath asphalt. Flamethrowers spat fire. Jagged metal scraped across the track. Jensen gripped the wheel, his heartbeat sensing with the engine's roar. Focus was razor sharp. Case moved with deadly precision, climbing out mid-race, disarming traps, risking life again and again. Explosions painted the arena in red and orange. Cars collided violently. Smoke and fire consumed everything. Machine Gun Joe shredded rivals with bullets. 1-for-K unleashed spinning shurikens. Pachenko stalked Jensen relentlessly. Memories of his wife sharpened his mind. Loss fueled determination. He dodged, countered, and turned chaos into advantage. Case's loyalty became his lifeline, guiding him, protecting him. By the end of Stage 2, only 6 cars remained: Jensen, Machine Gun Joe, 1-for-K, King, and a few survivors. The crowd roared with every crash and explosion. Jensen's mind was elsewhere. Freedom, revenge, protecting his daughter. That was all that mattered. Stage 3 descended like hell itself. Missiles streaked across the sky. Flamethrowers spat fire. The massive dreadnought advanced, bristling with cannons. Jensen gripped the wheel. Every decision was a gamble with death. Case leapt out mid-race, disarming traps, risking everything to keep him alive. Machine Gun Joe and 1-for-K tore through chaos. Pachenko pursued him relentlessly. Fueled by rage and justice, Jensen rammed Pachenko into a trap, flipping his car violently. Justice had its mark. The warden escalated. The dreadnought crushed everything in its path. Jensen realized he had only one option: cooperate with Joe, his former rival. Side by side, they maneuvered the armored beast into a minefield. Explosions ripped through steel. Flames consumed the massive truck. The crowd roared. Jensen had a new goal: escape. They raced toward the final barriers, smashing through machine guns, missiles, and steel walls. The coastal bridge lay ahead. Freedom awaited. Engines roared, smoke and fire spilling onto the asphalt. Armored cars lunged onto the track like predatory beasts. Sparks flew as metal collided with metal. Machine Gun Joe wasted no time, bullets tearing across the arena. 14K spun deadly blades and shurikens at anyone in his path. Cars collided violently, sending wreckage flying. The smell of burning rubber and fuel filled the air. Jensen gripped the wheel, hard hammering. Case leaned close, scanning for traps and ambushes. Stay calm. Watch the left flank, she shouted. He maneuvered expertly, dodging debris and countering attacks. Pachenko, the sadistic brute, targeted Jensen relentlessly. He rammed him toward walls lined with explosives. Jensen's car screeched, sparks flying as metal met metal. With a calculated turn, he slammed Pachenko into one of the traps. The explosion lit the track. Pachenko's car flipped violently. Survivors barely moved, shocked by the carnage. The track was a death maze. One car hit a hidden mine, flames engulfing it in an instant. Another collided with a barrier and spun out, crushed beneath heavy machinery. The crowd roared, bloodlust in their eyes. Jensen's focus never wavered. Each dodge, each maneuver, was a fight for survival. He observed every opponent, memorized every hazard, calculated every risk. By the end of stage 1, only a few cars remained intact. Jensen's car, scarred but operational, rolled across the finish line. Oil slicks coated the asphalt. Flamethrowers erupted along sharp corners. Hidden mines waited beneath the track. Every corner was a potential death sentence. Case moved skillfully, signaling danger. Left turn, incoming missiles. Jensen veered, narrowly avoiding a fiery blast. 1-4K collided with the barrier, flames licking his car as he was thrown violently. Screams and alarms filled the air. Pachenko and Machine Gun Joe were relentless. Pachenko attempted another brutal ram, but Jensen's strategy and Case's guidance allowed him to counter, sending Pachenko careening into a pit. The impact echoed across the track. Traps didn't stop. A massive flamethrower erupted on the final curve. Joe was almost trapped, but Jensen steered deftly, narrowly escaping. One car hit a concealed spike trap. The vehicle exploded, scattering debris. Every survivor now understood the stakes. Death was everywhere. The arena had become a mechanical battlefield, chaos reigning supreme. Giant automated turrets spat fire and lead. The Dreadnought, a massive armored truck, barreled forward, cannons primed to destroy everything. Jensen's hands burned from gripping the wheel. Every second counted. Case risked her life repeatedly, leaping from the car mid-race to dismantle traps and shoot down enemy hazards. Enemies fell one by one. 14K's car collided with a massive barrier, spinning into flames. Machine Gun Joe, initially an enemy, realized the only way to survive was to join forces. Together, he and Jensen plotted to outmaneuver the Dreadnought. Pachenko appeared again, mocking and charging violently. With raw fury, Jensen rammed him into a deadly trap. The car flipped, smashed, and caught fire. Justice had been served. The Dreadnought advanced. Its massive cannons fired relentlessly. Jensen and Joe baited it toward a minefield. Explosions engulfed the massive vehicle in flames, scattering debris across the track. The final stretch approached. Barriers loomed. The warden ordered every weapon fired, but it was too late. Jensen and Joe smashed through, racing across the coastal bridge. Bullets and missiles whizzed past, flames licking the edges, but freedom awaited. The gates opened with a thunderous roar. Engines screamed as armored cars lunged onto the track. Sparks flying where metal met metal. Smoke and fire filled the air, turning the arena into a battlefield. Machine Gun Joe fired relentlessly, his bullets tearing through obstacles and enemy cars. 14,000 spun deadly shurikens and blades across the track. Cars collided violently, glass and metal raining down, bodies thrown aside. Jensen gripped the wheel with white-knuckled intensity. Case leaned close, eyes scanning every corner. Left curve, mines ahead, she shouted. Jensen swerved, narrowly avoiding a hidden spike trap that erupted in fire. Flames licked the asphalt. Pachenko roared, a savage grin on his face, ramming his reinforced car into Jensen. Sparks flew as metal collided. Jensen countered with a sharp turn, sending Pachenko careening into a pit trap. The car flipped violently, smoke and fire rising as the crowd roared. The arena itself seemed alive with danger. Flamethrowers erupted along sharp bends. Oil slicks caused cars to spin out of control. Explosions rocked the track as a crashed vehicle collided with another, sending debris flying into nearby competitors. Every second was a life-or-death gamble. Machine Gun Joe initially fought against Jensen, but survival forced an uneasy alliance. Together, they dodged automated turrets, spinning blades, and missile fire from the Dreadnought, a massive armored truck advancing like an unstoppable beast. Its cannons fired relentlessly, obliterating everything in its path. Jensen's heart pounded. His hands ached from gripping the wheel, his mind racing with strategy. Case risked her life repeatedly, leaping from the car mid-race to dismantle traps and cover Jensen's maneuvers. The Dreadnought roared closer. A massive explosion erupted as Jensen baited the Dreadnought into a minefield. Flames engulfed the armored monstrosity, debris scattering across the track. Pachenko, blinded by rage, charged again only to crash into a spike-line wall, his car erupting in fire. The final barriers loomed. Guns fired. Missiles streaked past. Flames licked the edges. Jensen and Joe slammed through, tires screeching, metal groaning, engines howling. The bridge ahead marked freedom. Terminal Island shrank behind them as smoke and fire painted the sky. Jensen, Case, and Joe had survived, their cars battered but intact. Jensen thought of his daughter his purpose, and the revenge completed. The warden broadcast lies, claiming Frankenstein had died, but the faceless racer had vanished undefeated. Legends were born that day. The sun dipped low, casting long shadows over Terminal Island. Jensen's car screeched to a halt at the edge of the coastal bridge. Flames and smoke from the chaos behind painted the sky in reds and oranges. Every sound the roar of engines. The crack of distant explosions echoed in his ears. Jensen nodded, adrenaline surging. Together, they sprinted across the bridge, dodging falling debris and sparks from destroyed barricades. Machine Gun Joe stayed back for a final cover maneuver, firing at the warden's remaining automated turrets to give them a clear path. The helicopter descended low. Case leapt first, gripping the rope ladder with effortless precision. Jensen followed, his mask catching the last glints of fire as he climbed. Below, the bridge trembled from another distant explosion, Terminal Island's deathly roar fading behind them. As Jensen reached the cabin, he turned back for a brief moment. Flames licked the remains of the track. Pachenko and the dreadnought lay destroyed. The warden's commands echoed in the chaos, but her plans had failed. Freedom was no longer a dream, it was real. The helicopter lifted off, engines screaming over the roar of destruction. Jensen felt a rush of relief and triumph. Case beside him smiled, her loyalty proven in every daring move. Joe, following in a separate chopper, gave a thumbs up. They were alive. They were free. Subscribe now for more cinematic adventures.